Alrighty. So obviously you guys are both with Scorched Moon. Your album that you've got this year has been amazing. It's definitely I'm 99.9% sure that it's going to be on my year-end list. So
Oh, thank you.
That's
um
very sweet.
it's very honest is what it is. So but I would love you guys to both just introduce yourself, tell me, just a little bit about your band, and then also just, what your role is in the band, and take it away. Whoever wants to go first.
You got a Trap.
All right. Well, man, so we are Scorched Moon. We're a progressive metal band from Atlanta, Georgia. We write like concept albums that we've got another one that we're working on that's got more connections to this first one, but like that's a whole other problem. I'm the guitarist and vocalist and also the founder. Um, yeah, and I we all do a little bit of everything in the thing. So, uh, oh,
Nice. I'm Bodie, or at least that's what everyone calls me. Um, I'm the keyboard player and the vocalist in the band. I am the second member now, based on our current lineup. I never thought I would be the second oldest, but that's for fun stories later. Um, I've been with the band for 5.5 years. I have not been with the project since its genesis in Atlanta, but with now being the next longest standing member, it's been a wonderful journey going through and getting this first album off the ground. So,
Yeah, awesome. So obviously you guys have a tour coming up. So why don't you guys tell me, what are you doing to, I'm sure you're very excited for the tour, but what are you doing to prepare and get all ready for this tour?
well, I've been making spreadsheets to try and like curb my anxiety more than anything. Like I've got a spreadsheet that has a list of all the venues with all their addresses and our load in times and also where we're staying for each night on the tour with their addresses, names, and phone numbers so that like we get done with the show, we go, "Hey, we're coming." Like we already confirmed it with you a couple weeks ago. Thanks. We'll see you in a little bit. Like I've been reaching out to friends to try and like a get people to come out and b find places to stay in all those cities just because like it feels like the thing to do
Hmm.
and somebody in most of these places except for like Richmond.
Yeah.
So
except for Richmond.
Just go stay with War in Richmond. Just be like, call them up and be like, please just let me have a place. While you're there though, you should go to Guar Bar there because that place is just phenomenal.
if we can swing the time, we're that is one of the goals is to try and get some like sightseeing and like eating local food in. So
Hmm.
we're
yeah,
definitely we're definitely spreadsheet people for sure.
mm-hmm.
Um, of
Progressive metal people, spreadsheet people, never.
Never. No. Why would it possibly be? Um, I other than in addition to the standard prep of solidifying all our sleeping for sure. Sleeping's a big one for me, and then considering honestly a meal plan or some kind of like finances for food
Hmm.
because it will be it's a trip, as wonderful as a tour opportunity is, it's also a trip.
Hmm.
So planning for meals for me, planning vocal and health stamina is a big thing for me.
Hmm.
I have a lot of commitments here and I have all the high notes in the live shows, so I have to make sure I don't run to the finish line by like day 2 or 3,
Yeah, for
because then
sure.
it'll just be voice cracking for like another 5 days.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I, I'm a little worried about running my voice down too. So like we'll work on that one together, Bodie.
Do vocal exercises together in your off time.
Plenty.
Yeah.
I've got pages and pages.
Yep. Indeed.
Awesome. So with this first tour, what is it that you guys are most excited for, and what are you most nervous about?
We've done a we've I've accidentally answered this question already, but excited, travel, nervous, voice. Like it's thankfully I could be running on 1 hour of sleep and I can still play all the piano notes I'll ever need to. But the voice doesn't work like that.
Hmm.
So I hope and pray I get at least 6 hours of sleep, enough hydration. Drinking water is also the other key to it.
Yeah.
I hope I'm hydrated enough to get the job done.
We do need to come up with I'm planning on bringing like gallons of water, but we do need to come up with I want to bring some coolers. I have some plans about food also, so we can come up with something for that eventually. As far as being excited and being nervous, I'm excited for the whole thing. I'm excited for the prospect of going and taking our music to places that it's never been before. I'm excited about performing in front of people in places that I've never been before. I've never gotten to go to New York. I'm very excited about getting to go to New York because I've never gone before.
It's a fun place.
Indeed. And much like Bodhi, I am worried about, like I said, I'm worried about blowing my voice out too quickly. So that's a thing that I'm concerned about, because I've my buddy Jake from Aether Realm, I've watched him show up on a tour and be like, "Hey man," I'm like, "Bro, stop talking."
Rest the voice.
Need it. We'll make ourselves little placards, little necklaces that have big old laminated sheets of paper like they did in high school that says vocal rest.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not allowed to talk right now.
And get it on the other side where you can have a whiteboard and just write what you need to write on the other side.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Wet erase markers at all times. That's funny.
Yep. I'm nervous about the whole thing. Oh God.
I can imagine.
Trapper's always, to be fair, Trapper's always nervous. So this is a bit part and parcel.
Yeah.
We just have something new to be nervous about.
Yeah. It's a whole bunch of new sets of situations that we're going to be playing our way through. And I'm excited about it because I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And I think it's going to go pretty well overall. So I'm like,
for sure. Absolutely. If you guys were coming to Florida, I would have offered you a place to stay, but alas, no one wants to come to Florida anymore. So, and I don't blame them.
Not in the next 2 months. We broke 100 today with the humidity, and I can only imagine if it's like that here, it's worse in Florida.
Yes. And now we have a hurricane coming, so per usual.
Indeed. I would really like to play Florida. But Florida, we're in Georgia, so Florida's close enough that it can be like a weekender thing. We can be like, hey, let's play a show in Orlando on Saturday.
Yeah.
That is a thing that we could do if we needed to. But there's a venue in Savannah that I want to play that's reopening, that's not open yet. So what I would like to do if we were to go to Florida would be just Atlanta, Savannah, somewhere in Florida.
Yeah.
I did submit us to the heavy metal beach party this year because
nice.
Doro's trying to find people trying to find bands to have play at the Clevelander, but I haven't heard anything back about that. So yeah.
Hopefully she adds you. She's probably, I'm sure, just busy just trying to throw that all together, but
she's got a bunch of stuff going on, so
yeah,
it would be cool.
For sure.
Indeed.
Yep. So changing gears a little bit, you guys obviously have done an excellent job being able to put together your first album, a music video, and also a tour all without a label. And a lot of bands seem to be doing this now. So what made you guys to go the independent route, and do you guys intend to stay that way?
So I kind of had always intended on going the independent route because it just seemed like, at least for the very first thing, the thing to do. You do it as best you can yourself, and you go out and do the thing. And if we can stay independent, I wouldn't mind staying independent. But if we could find the right contract with the right label, I think that it could be beneficial also.
Yes, we're poor. If not, when in doubt, the other reality of it is, at least in the 21st century, it would be a blessing, a wonderful stroke of luck to go straight into a label signing. And we know how to put ourselves out there. And to build a solid foundation for something you would want to show a label definitely takes time. I think these last 5 years have been very valuable. A lot of us have gone through the learning curve on our own, or at least independently. And I think if I look in retrospect, I would much rather go through the learning curve without a label breathing down my back.
Mm-hmm.
Because I would then make some crazy, like, if I messed up financially, I'm screwed. The band is screwed.
Yeah.
We've thankfully one of Trapper's superpowers, and it's truly a superpower. Speaking as another extrovert in the band, is Trapper is one of the most well-connected people I know. Genuinely, and not he's not like some secret networking guru. He has a very welcoming nature, and in a community that's both very welcoming but full of a lot of different people who don't always belong. Trapper is a wonderful beacon type individual, and that personality has really lended itself to let us be an independent band and make music and find opportunities to promote and publish the music without breaking the bank.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's definitely same goes for myself and Michael and Jade. But it's worth noting that Trapper has a wonderful set of relationships that have nothing to do with getting famous. That really, those friendships have really helped us springboard, off into the world a little bit.
It hasn't hurt that I've managed to make a lot of friends in a lot of places over the years.
It's a lot of good friendships. It's very wholesome.
For sure. Those connections are, especially like, speaking from someone who didn't have those connections and just kind of like rode on the coattails of my husband that has those connections. He's made those connections over 20 plus years of basically just harassing, I don't know, actually harassing, but just jokingly like harassing labels and being like, may I please go to the may I please get on the guest list for this show? And I was like, how'd you do that? He's like, I don't know, I just started emailing them and bothering them until they said yes. So I think that being someone who is an extrovert and able to put yourself out there like that, I think is massively helpful for this.
And committing the time. I have the ability to put myself out there. Whenever I go to a metal show, I always walk away with 2 or 3 new friends. But for me, I'm super busy, and I'm very grateful to be in a band that can make music. But the time that you have to take to go to the local shows and be regular at these venues is also worth noting. So, kudos many different ways.
Yeah, it's good also you guys are in Atlanta, because you guys seem to be, especially the last couple of years, just getting like every show. Like we've talked about, if we end up leaving Florida ever, it's like Atlanta's like one of the top places we're considering. It's like, well, we get every show.
Yeah,
unless they're not coming to the East Coast whatsoever, unless they're like, we are doing a couple like California and goodbye, then yeah, you'd probably get just about every show.
Damn near. It's part of why I moved here myself. Like I was living in Savannah for a while, and I moved to Atlanta because I was just like, I want to be able to go see shows. And man, I've gotten to see so many shows. And there is something to be said for the community that we have around here too, and the fact that there are so many shows, and the fact that there are a lot of local bands. Atlanta is exploding with great music right now.
We are rich. We're rich with talent, and we have an international airport, which does not hurt. That's very, very nice.
Yes, for sure. Since I grew up in Baltimore, that was kind of, or just outside of Baltimore, but when I grew up there, it was like for a while we got every single show, because most bands would either fly into New York or one of the Baltimore area airports or Atlanta. That was like the main 3 places they fly into from Europe. So definitely has its benefits. No one's nice. Like, I'm going to fly into Tampa, It's technically an international airport, but no one's flying into here.
No, right.
All right. So going back about your music video, tell me a little bit about K180. Are you guys calling it just 186F or 186F? How are we saying that?
K186F, K186F.
We say K186F. We honestly just call it K 9 times out of 10. Yeah. It hits all the right notes. It's quick, it's very technical and kind of overwhelming, but in the prog way. And we don't overstay our welcome. We kind of say everything we need to say.
Mm-hmm. It's good. It's short. It's to the point, but it's also got a lot of what makes us us musically. There's lots of vocal layering. Bodhi has some lead vocals. I have some lead vocals.
Hmm.
There's vocals mixed in. There's crazy time signatures and epic harmonies. It's a big shebang in like a very small package as far as the genre is concerned. So when it came time to pick a song that's like, which one are we going to present to the world to see us playing for the first time, it just felt like the right decision to go
Yeah,
with that.
that definitely makes sense. How was it working with is it Partita Studios? Is that how it's pronounced?
It is. So Partita Studios are a couple of my very dear friends. This is where like my friendships actually helped out nicely. I went to music college with the two people that make up Partita, Rachel Robinach and Andrew Niehoff, and it was easy. It was just hanging out with two friends. I'd done film work before. It is not different than being like an extra on a film set or being any kind of crew on a film set. So it's just a long, unbroken day, just figuring out ideas together and taking the shot and then taking like three other shots, repeating that to make sure that like all of your shots have covers. But it was a dream, you know. I was working with three of my favorite people to write with and two of my favorite people to film with. So it
Nice.
was it was a day in the shade for me.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
it was quite a bit of fun. I'm really glad I got to we used the brewery I was working at the time, which I got laid off back in April and then they closed in June.
Oh no.
What? But it was nice. I thought but it was not. It was very wholesome to
It was
use the place of work.
it was very good. I loved that brewery. I'm only saying that to say that was one of my favorite places that I've ever worked in my entire life. I got to play a guitar solo in our music video on the brew deck where I was like making beer every day, and it was special. It was a very long day. I
It
got there.
was. It was.
I had the key to the building because I worked there.
Hmm.
And then I was obviously also the last one to leave because I had the key to the building. So
Yeah.
it was like 1 a.m. or something by the
Oh
time
man.
we left, and I had gotten there at like 8 a.m. So it was a solid, just long day. But
Day.
it was very good though. I had a lot of fun. It was fun hanging out with Rachel and Andrew. They're both brilliant at the things that they do. It was quite good to work with them, and I want to work with them again for sure going forward. Like
Awesome.
Bodhi, Bodhi, Bodhi also didn't say this, but he plays D&D with those nerds.
I
So
do. I do. I've run a campaign for them. I've been in a campaign with them. It's the bonds are deep. But Rachel, it's also worth saying Rachel and Andrew were about 4 or 5 years into what they do.
Hmm.
Niehoff has been behind a camera for years now. Rachel is the creative mind. She put together the shot deck and all of the conceptual ideas, and Niehoff found all the technical work to make it happen. And so, walking onto the set, we had practically no improvising to do. And all film sets or music video sets, there's always a surprise. There were very few surprises, and it just made the day so much easier.
Hmm.
indeed, it
That's
went
awesome.
exactly as it needed to. So,
Hmm.
mhm.
So, change into another song here for Silence Painted Crimson. I'd love for you guys to tell me what you affectionately called the Grief.
I'm actually going to let Trapper toss this one first because
um,
I didn't say anything about it. I think Trapper's the one that brought it to life.
well, like
He told me about it when I first was reviewing your album.
Mhm.
I commented on it and he's like, we've called it the Grief. I was like, oh, I remember thinking, I was like, if I get to interview them, I need to bring
Hmm.
this up because I this is very exciting for me.
well, no, it's just the in the Hall of the Mountain King by Grieg has that one figure, and it's kind of in like it's in just Aeolian, and so I was like, what if I took that and then I made it in Locrian down here, and it just kind of is like a cool sounding riff that calls back to like a classical piece of music that I quite like, and it also calls back to the band Sabotage, which was a big like American power metal band in the '80s, which they also had an album called In the Hall of the Mountain King, where they did Prelude to Madness, which was their cover of In the Hall of the Mountain King, which is their song In the Hall of the Mountain King.
Layers. There's layers to
There is
it.
layers. And on
It's
top
like
of it,
an onion.
Sabotage is from Tampa, so now I fit into this puzzle piece.
Indeed.
Perfect. We can rep Tampa.
Hmm.
Hell yeah.
Indeed. Yeah. So that's the basic story behind the Greek Griff. Is it's just I was just like, what if this but here? And I was like, ooh.
It was nice. And then I usually, and we can dive more into how it works later. But Trapper, I will promise you, it's just a lot of Trapper and I looking at each other, and they're like, "This, ooh," and then he's like, "This, ooh," like, and it's just that over and over for hours.
It's like that's a cool idea. That's a cool idea.
Ooh, yeah. Repeat ad nauseum. It's an album.
Hey, and it worked perfectly.
Oh, it's very sweet.
Thank you. It means a lot to hear. We did put a lot of effort over a long period of time into it. So
Yeah, well, it definitely shows. I said it's definitely. I said I'd be shocked if somehow it doesn't make my year-end list. So,
Thank you very
I
much.
appreciate that a
of
lot.
course. So, speaking of that song with Silence Painted Crimson, how did it come about with getting Vincent Jackson Jones to do guest vocals, and what strengths do you think he has added to the song?
So I met Jake and Heinrich at a regional Burning Man event called Transformus up in Asheville back in 2016. I was hanging out and I saw a dude in a True Brewing shirt across a field, and I had just like traveled across the country and back, just like camping my way. And I was like, I had been in Denver and I love Denver and I'd been to True, and I was like, that person, they're gonna be my friend. And so I walk up to him and I start talking to him, and like I find out that he's in Aether Realm, and I'm like, what? I've listened to your band before, because that was before Tarot came out. So like
Mhm.
they hadn't quite reached the beginnings of their heights even. But like uh I just kind of ended up making friends with him, because it was like, hey dude, like I know your band, that's tight. Let's be friends. And like we've just at some point in the past, I was like, hey man, you want to do a guest vocal like spot on our album somewhere? And he was like, sure. So like, speaking of strengths that he adds to the song, like we kind of wrote the song with his guest vocal spot in mind, because we knew that he was gonna do it for us, because we'd been talking about it like 2016. um and like
It works very nicely for high concept when you need a villain character.
Mhm.
And that usually comes when you're doing a storytelling purpose. It's hard to like build that inside the band.
Yep.
And it was just the most convenient because Trapper's like, Jake will do it. And we're like, hell yeah, absolutely.
I can't complain about that when you're like, oh, by the way, I have.
Oh, by the way, right,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Hey, my buddy said he'd do this thing. Let's do this.
Yeah, for sure.
And I mean, the the first time I ever like got goosebumps listening to my own music, it was like, I want to say the third mix that we got back from Alex Para of Silence Painted Crimson, and it was when Jake's voice came on. My just chills went down my spine, and I was just like, ah.
He has an excellent harsh voice, and it's nicely noticeably different than Trapper's,
Mhm.
but they both are excel at mid screams. I'd like to say,
Mhm.
not too much high and not the rumbly lows, but like right there in the middle.
Mhm.
So you got this very nice, similar but different vibe in that song, and it's bone chilling. You know, you get the chills because he's an excellent performer and an excellent screamer.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
he did a pretty wonderful job of his entire performance for it too. It just we basically got we sent him the section of the song. He sent us back several layers of his voice, and we just kind of like clicked it in there, and it just it worked like immediately. It was
It's
fantastic.
nice working with professionals, you know. I mean, it's just like, got it.
Yep.
Yep.
That's awesome. So speaking of having like someone as a guest vocalist or any instrument really on any high future albums, aside from Jake, if you had to pick one other person that was going to do a guest spot, and again, doesn't have to be vocals, but if you're doing that on a future album, who would you pick? Like this is you can do a dream scenario, like you can pick whoever you want.
Oh boy.
Is it just one? Because I have a list.
If you want to pick
have
if you
long
want to pick a
lists.
couple, I'm down with hearing a couple of them.
In what order do we ask the Dream Theater people? That's
Right.
essentially
right. Like
just all of Dream Theater.
Right. Like
Except
if you're talking about like dream guest spots, like I mean, I wouldn't mind having a John Petrucci guitar solo on my album somewhere, sure, but like
I'd love to sing with Devin Townsend. That would really make my day, you know. That would be phenomenal.
That would fucking rip. But like, I mean, as far as there's like realistically like people I actually want to ask for album 2. Like I want to get Wayne from Wilderun.
Oh, you'll be so proud of me, Trevor. I wrote it down. The only thing I wrote for that question was Wayne from Wilderun. It was the only, like, Taylor Washington from Paladin, yes, but I was like, oh, that's right, we know Wayne. That counts. And I was just like, all right, just carry on.
Wayne is an absolute sweetheart. Just what a good hug. Dude gives a good hug. I'd like to get let's see, Wayne, yeah, Taylor. Like it would be cool to get a guest vocal spot from Taylor just because he's a local buddy of ours. Like we've played, I can't remember how many shows we've played with Paladin.
Seriously. Seriously, without diving too much into it, he has the voice of Bruce Dickinson reborn, and he didn't train for it. He just has the born talent of Dickinson. He didn't realize it until he was like 30 or something. It was insane. Wow. No, it's wild.
I wish I had that just like natural, like, oh, by the way, I'm just awesome at something, you know?
By the way, yeah, I've got this. Yeah, I actually would also like, it would make me really happy to get guest solo spots from Heinrich and Donnie, and like I want to get a guest vocal spot from Kyle from Tomarum, just because like
absolutely
he's our buddy too. Like I booked the first show he ever played, so like
nice.
I don't know. I'm always real proud to see them out doing stuff in the world. It makes me
really
yeah.
I would certainly also I would reserve dream spots for a lot of the Haken people. They're my favorite band, so singing with Ross, solos from Charlie or Rich would be insane.
He's got such good phrasing.
Yeah, Henschel's got such a weird brain.
If we're talking about like dream level, I'd like a Marty Friedman guitar solo. That'd be tight too. Like if you want to go into those, like that's like a whole other, I don't know, Arjen Lucassen. Like I could go on for
right.
Hey, you know, it doesn't hurt to dream, right?
Yeah, right.
We're nerds.
We are nerds. Indeed.
So speaking about future albums, I know you guys obviously just released Obsidia this year, but do you have anything that you're working on right now for a future album? Are you already writing stuff, or are we still just in like we're recovering from the last album stage?
There is no recovery. At least two of the people in our band, their coping mechanisms with life is writing music. So it never stops. Not really. There's always some, even if it's not Scorched Moon, one of the four of us nerds is on their instrument writing something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've been working on some riffs today actually. We've been working on, actually, like we started working on new material while we were recording the Obsidia, like Jade, like while I was warming up one day before like doing some guitar recordings, Jade and I were just like, huh, what about this riff? Huh, what about this riff? And like,
ooh, see?
Yeah. Ooh, what if you did that? Ooh, like it's a lot of it's a lot of positive creative energy happening when we're getting together and working on stuff. So like it's the new stuff is coming and it is flowing out very naturally. We have
About 8. The blueprints for at least 7 or 8 different things.
Yeah, and we probably want a few more, but like we're getting close to at least having the blueprints for most of the rest of the next thing, at least.
Yeah, it's a good problem to have too much material.
Oh, for sure. Better than having writer's block and just sitting there like staring at your computer.
Lord, yeah, no.
Yeah, that's never fun. It's like, what do I write? What riffs do I need to write? Like it.
I definitely said a very unique sentence in rehearsal one day, which was after going through one of those creative moments and copying it and recording it and making sure we had codified the idea somewhere. I just kind of stood there and was like, man, it's going to be hard to get any of these songs less than 9 minutes long.
That's a very progressive metal problem.
What a problem, right? We all just looked at each other and we're just like, God bless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just do like Reincarnation, be like, you know what? It's just the whole album. It's just one long song. We'll just do a
song.
If Opeth could do it, we can too.
Exactly.
Don't put it past us.
We won't, yeah.
Don't put it past some other people I know either. I know too much. Yeah. So that's we're working on the next thing. Jade's ripping to go on it. Michael's excited to get some more stuff done on it, and we've been hitting it whenever we can, and I'm excited about everything that we've been putting together for it. So yeah.
So obviously for the writing process on this, it's a lot of like you guys coming together and doing riffs here and there. Backing up to Obsidia though, what was the writing process like on that? Did you already have like a lot of it written before you brought other people into the band, or was it something that was just started fresh and all started writing together?
So initially, when I first moved up to Atlanta, I started working with a different drummer, and he and it was kind of like I would come up with a riff and I would bring it to him, and we would like bounce the idea off of each other and form a thing. And Bodhi actually joined pretty early on in the process. Like I think we had like maybe 3 songs completed.
3 songs. We had a 4th that was tied to our now ex-bassist, and it was a good song, but it was very much tied to that bassist who isn't with the band anymore. So we let that song go with that bassist. So 3.
Yeah. So we had 3 songs like kind of put together by the time Bodhi joined in, and then when Bodhi joined in, it just kind of like we just kind of started. It just kind of started becoming more and more of what it was over time.
Which is great.
Yeah,
I was gonna say I'd never written before, so I was very happy that the stuff I could give the guys was stuff they liked. I was very insecure and worried that I just put out a bunch of mishmash and they'd be like, "Oh, it sounds stupid," But an album later, it works out nicely.
Yeah.
But instead, they were like, "Ooh,
yeah."
I think you're gonna need to have that like
wheels off.
Have like a thing like hidden in a song with like a chant going like ooh, like, and just have that hidden somewhere.
Don't worry. I'll talk to Jade about this later.
Jade will find a place for it. Jade's comedic timing is top notch, and he's both our drummer and our audio engineer for at least getting raw files. So he has a wonderful sense of timing, just a top notch sense. So
awesome.
Indeed. He does need it being a drummer and all.
Yeah, for sure. I just started learning drums, so I'm rapidly learning that as a thing.
Hell yeah.
It's a fun instrument, but it's also very difficult in my experience. I'm not very good at it myself, so don't.
We always need more rhythm. Yeah, we always need more rhythm.
True. But yeah, some songs were like, some songs were more, hey guys, I have a bunch of these ideas, and then sometimes it was like, hey, I've got this one idea, and Bodhi was like, oh, I've got these ideas. It would kind of it was kind of
sorry.
No, it kind of depended on the song. You go ahead, but what did you want to interject?
I didn't want to interrupt. I was just going to say it was very Jigsaw. We had Trapper had already fleshed out a really solid concept for the album. It comes from source material that both he and I know very well, and which allowed for such smooth creation of ideas. But it was just very much riff to riff to riff, find connective tissue, repeat ad nauseum. And
Mhm.
thankfully, a lot of the riffs, maybe because we had talked about concept before, built it up first. A lot of puzzle pieces unintentionally fell into a very convenient place for the story.
Mhm.
And we had a lot of happy accidents in a really good way.
Indeed.
Awesome.
And I do remember the time that you and I like sat down together and we're like, all right, let's plan out what we want for the rest of the songs. Like it was pretty early on, I want to say, and we sat down and went through and like, okay, here are our targets. And we actually did a pretty good job of hitting all of our bullet points, I feel like, when we went through and did the thing. And
Yeah.
considering how riff to riff it is, I actually do feel like it's pretty cohesive in comparison to certain other prog bands. So uh, that might just be me, but
No,
I
I agree with
agree.
you. No,
I
I agree
agree.
with you absolutely.
indeed.
All right, so jumping kind of back to everything we were talking about the Grieg riff. As far as I know, I believe you're a fan of classical composers. So who is your favorite, and what about their work inspired you and the creation of your music?
I'm gonna let Bodie go first on this one because he's got vocal
um,
performance degree, so like he's got like actual like opinions.
I do, and I will take too long if I sit here. Also, nobody wants to hear like a 20-something-year-old talk about music opinions because all the 50-plus-year-olds would be like, I thought the same thing when I was young. Um, it is hard to say who is my favorite classical composer for everything. That's not quite fair. Um, I I have a really so I grew up playing piano. I will say Grieg is actually my favorite pianist. I've played a lot of his work over the years, and it's always felt very thrilling. The music always told a very easy story. For vocal work, I still have a lot to learn. Just for all the experienced people out there judging me, I don't know much. But Vaughan Williams is a British composer. He's one of my all-time faves. He doesn't write a lot of operas or bigger works, but he writes art songs and sacred music and things for a lot of ensembles. And he is just one of the best people to make English a beautiful language to listen to and makes very pleasing to the ear music without making it too easy or too difficult. I think he rides a very fine line where his work is approachable, but it's not just, your 4/4 Baptist music that you see in a hymnal every day. He has an individuality about him, but it's easy. It's easy to the ear. It's easy to listen to every time. And I hope I can put some of his beauty of bringing many voices into one texture, as well as not as much this past album. I didn't have a lot of lyrical input. I had a lot of musical input, but hopefully, what I'm very excited about for Scorched Moon 2 is the lyrics. Trapper is the wordsmith. Trapper creates many of the lyrics, but we'll get to be at the ground floor. We'll get to build them together, build the musical lines, build the vocal lines, and since I'll be singing them as well as him, a lot of the times I'm very excited to put uh, a touch like Vaughan Williams or a tune like Grieg into the music, both because I'm inspired and it's nice to give homage if it's not too obvious.
Mhm.
It can get very blunt at times.
Indeed.
So those are my two favorites.
Um, I'm gonna also go with two. I have a particular time period that I like, which granted, Bodie will probably correct me on this, but I like romantic and late romantic works mostly. Like my two favorites are
They're
Hector
my favorite
Berlioz
too.
for the Symphonie Fantastique. I just he was like, I'm gonna write this whole thing and it's gonna be a big story, and it was fun and silly to me how far he went. um and like I, I I like Hector Berlioz, and I also like Sergei Rachmaninoff. I love particularly Rock 3, but I also like his Concerto Number 2 and Symphony Number 2. But just Concerto Number 3 is just Rock 3 is just so good, especially the third movement. It just every time I listen to it, I'm just like it feels like I'm flying. I don't know. I love Rachmaninoff. I love his phrases. I love his sense of musicality. I love his chord choices. I feel like if I were better at piano, I would want to write stuff like Rachmaninoff. And I feel like some of it comes through in the music a little bit, but like I don't know. I I find that if I sit down and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna open like Muse Score or something and write with like notation software, I find that I sound more like Rachmaninoff, which I think is hilarious.
It's cool.
Um,
They are
Yeah.
Berlioz is a romantic composer, and Rocky was technically after the Romantic period, but he was very much inspired by the Romantic period.
that's
So
why I say
that's two
that's
correct answers. You did good.
late romantic. What I call him late romantic era is that technically after, but late romantic, early modern, whatever, however you want. I don't know. I'm not a music historian. Don't look at me. I only took one music appreciation course. You're
I
lucky
said
I got this much.
I didn't say anything. I said nothing.
I'll say I like a lot of classical composers. I do not know it anywhere near as good as you guys. So to me, you both sounded like geniuses. So if that makes it, I'm like,
No, we're just nerds.
I have an undergraduate degree, and that's it. Only a bachelor's.
I'll say,
Nothing fancy.
I have an undergrad in psych and I can do
Hell
nothing with
yeah.
that. So so
Oh.
I totally get that. So circling back to your upcoming tour, out of curiosity, do you guys prefer playing live or recording in the studio or a bit of both?
I there's different things that I like about both of them, and there's different things that are difficult about both of them. Like playing live is very much about like, all right, how tightly can we get everything together? How tightly can we go out there and do the thing? It's a lot of like, all right, well, we got one chance to get out there and do it, and then it's done. And like, it's always fun. It's always challenging. It's always like great to get out and see new people and meet new people and have friends come out and hang out. Like live shows are one of my favorite things just in general. So I love playing live because I like being on stage and presenting the music. And it's always such a thing leading up to it, and then it just is gone
Mhm.
as soon like you get on the stage, it's like, all right guys, bye.
We're out, yeah.
But also I do I love writing. Like that writing is why I started playing guitar in the first place, is I wanted to learn how to like create music that I would enjoy. Like that was literally my goal. Was I was just like, I want to write guitar that I would like. I want to write guitar music that I would like.
Mhm.
That was where it started for me. And to me, that's what recording in the studio is. It's taking your ideas and bringing them to life. And to me, that's special and powerful. And like, I don't know, they're both great and important things. And I don't know that I have one that I prefer necessarily, because also recording in the studio is a lot of like, all right, I'm gonna play this one song all day. All right, I'm gonna play this one guitar solo all day. All right, I'm gonna sing this one song all day. Like it, it recording is a process in its own ways too. So I don't know. They're both great, and they're both difficult, and I love them both a lot.
Mhm.
So that's where I land. Cody.
I don't I thought very long about this question because I think everything I'm going to say is going to make me sound very much silver spoony. So I apologize in advance. I really don't mean it this way. I prefer studio work by far. I do love playing live. It's not that I don't like playing live. I'm lucky enough that I have a decent amount of other live performance opportunities, like singing with the opera, which is something I'm very grateful to be able to do, and I'm able to scratch that itch really nicely, and I have an abundance of live time, and so between what feels like excess with the live shows and somebody's holding my voodoo doll, I think, because at live shows there's always something that goes way wrong for me. My luck is not good with live shows. I get through it, thankfully, but it's always something and it's always something different. So as somebody who lives by spreadsheets and who lives by preparation, the some people love the explosive nature of like what could happen on stage, something new. That gives me anxiety, true anxiety. And so the repetition of studio work, also because studio work does not take too long for me, which I'm very grateful to say. I understand the exhaustion of singing the same song all day. But on the flip side, you could also get it right in 2 or 3 takes.
Mhm.
And then it gets a lot easier. And that is the silver spoon part of the answer I've got for you.
Okay,
But
take,
no,
take.
thankfully, at least for this album, this first album, studio work was very smooth with me and Jade. And so probably because of the smooth nature actually made it really, really fun. My voice was shot because 3 hour sessions of hitting high harmonies that I wrote for myself was a mistake, and I will learn from that. But it was fun. It was very fun. So I think I prefer studio work more, but I am very grateful that I get to play live shows and have a lot of different performance opportunities. So
Awesome.
Indeed.
So obviously music is something you both enjoy immensely. So outside of music though, what other activities do you enjoy?
Go for it,
oh,
Joe.
it's me. A lot. I like to keep my time full. It's also one of the things I'm working on is I know time management, but I fill up my schedule really fast. I love getting outdoors with hiking. I play a lot of racquetball, which is technically indoors, but it's good exercise. I've played with my dad for years and years and years. It's a great hobby. Um, like Trapper, I love writing and reading. A lot of my writing, if it's not music, turns into D&D stuff because I'm one of those nerds. And I did commit to being a DM. So just insert all the memes you want on that side of life. Um, but yeah, spending time with friends, a variety of exercise that's not just lifting weights. And then the nerd package of writing, reading, video games, board games. That little box is something I align with a lot. So
I'm
just a
I'm I'm with you with that box. I'm
awesome. Yeah, no, it's very, and board games these days I feel like is the smallest of all of those. You can't really, but I have 3 bookshelves full of board games. A collection I'm
nice.
very proud of.
That's awesome.
Sure.
Trapper, tell us about what you do
Um,
outside of music.
outside of music, like I've said earlier, I like to brew beer. I like to make mead. I like to create alcohol. It's fun to me. It's fun, rewarding process. I like fun, rewarding processes. I like to do something and then have a result at the end of it. It's rewarding. It's nice. It keeps me doing things. One of my hobbies is spinning fire. Like I have a bunch of props that have Kevlar wicking on them, and I dip them in fuel and light them on fire and spin them around, and that's a whole lot of fun. I have a lot of friends. I have a whole community that I am like a part of with that as well.
He's very
Um,
good at it. It's
That's
fun to
cool.
watch him spin fire, for sure.
Yeah, I
um,
get a show where you can do that and just like be playing and then just like spin fire on the side.
no, I can't say that that's not a thing that I've been like playing around with in my like I have a New Year's Eve show I want to put together where it's just like, all right, I'm gonna get some metal bands from around the southeast to come play for New Year's Eve. Gonna get my fire spinning friends to come hang out for New Year's Eve. We're gonna have a big party. It's gonna go all night long. It's gonna be a big crazy New Year's Eve time. It's the thing I want to do. When will I make it work?
Tune in next episode.
Yes.
Right. Like I have lots of things that I like. I like to organize things. Like I used to run fire spinning events at one of the breweries that I worked at. Like it's a thing that I like to do. I help organize Flame, which is it's flow arts movement exchange is what Flame stands for, and it's just like a learning festival for fire spinning, and it's a fun thing to be involved with. Like Bodhi, I also like to read and play Dungeons and Dragons, write, and like I'm less on the board games personally. Like I really like Betrayal at the House on the Hill, and otherwise I don't care that much for board games. That
That-
one game, I'm just like, yeah, I'll play
that's
that
a
any
fun
day.
game.
It is. It's real good.
But how
I
many
usually-
hours have you put into Tears of the Kingdom?
I have put at least 230 hours into Tears of the Kingdom.
Let's go!
At least 230. So I've gone full bore on Tears of the Kingdom too. Like if we're on that subject, well, I've gotten all of the like temples. I've gotten all of the shrines. I've beaten the game. Like I haven't done all the side quests and I haven't found all of the collectibles, but like I've done most of like the big core things as far as the game is concerned. So yeah, I you know, I like traveling. I also like going hiking. Um Theoretically I like kayaking and going fishing and stuff, but like I never get the time to do those things like I want. Like Bodhi says
Potential hobbies is an actual category. I
well,
have some as well.
they're not really potential hobbies because they're things that I've done and have like equipment for. Like I have a kayak sitting in my backyard and I've got fishing poles in my living room. Like I I know how to do these things. I've been fishing since I was a child. Like I used to like I almost died in the bay kayaking once when I lived in Savannah. That was a fun time.
Oh no.
Oh boy.
I've also kayaked around the entire back end of Tybee Island. Um, I like camping. I like going to like regional Burning Man events. Those are fun. There's one called Alchemy in Georgia that I like to go to. Um, as you well know, 70,000 tons of metal. I consider that's a hobby. Yeah, yeah.
It's a
It's
commit.
the fact that it's not just like the festival. It's like we also have the whole community we built around it, and
We
so it's
really do.
definitely not just like, oh, we go on. Like it's not like where we just go to a festival and see some bands and then leave. Like MDF feels like that, where it's like you go to MDF, but there's not really a community, I feel like, that's been built around MDF. Whereas like
Yeah,
Prog Power and 70K seem to have built a little more like people still continue to talk to each other from those events afterwards.
yeah. Like we like meet each other and talk to each other, and we have Discord channels and as well, you know. But that actually kind of comes back around to Bodhi's thing about me having lots of friends. It's literally just I go on 70K every year and I talk to people, and that's how all of this happened.
Lo and behold.
It's a great way to meet people though, because
It really
you're
is.
stuck in an area with a bunch of people that have a very similar, oddly specific interest.
You know, it's true, and it's frequently people who are like the most dedicated they can possibly be to those oddly specific interests because
Mhm.
it's like high barrier to entry. You have to really want it to end up going. Like it's a whole thing. It's also the best experience on the planet as far as I'm concerned.
It is pretty
I-
amazing.
Yeah, I know I'm preaching to the choir with you. I've been trying to talk into going for years, but he's just like, no.
I've also been poor or busy
Yeah.
or in school. It'll
I know.
happen. It'll
It
probably
will.
happen before I'm 30. So
Yeah,
I have time.
yeah. I believe in you.
Yep. What I would do is if you decide a year that you like, I can go, but I need to like save up for it. Just keep an eye out because sometimes last minute, especially being in Georgia, it's not that terribly difficult to drive down there. A lot of times
Yeah.
last minute someone will be like, oh no, I can't go, please someone take my spot for like really cheap, and then you can like last minute get something really cheap because that's what
Wow.
we've watched sometimes, been like, if anyone sells something last minute we'll go, but otherwise no.
Ah, got it.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, that's definitely how I go to Prague Power every year. Is I'm just like, oh, no one's got your Prague Power ticket. You're just gonna give it away. Why, thank you.
we did that. We did that with Irma because Irma was coming, and we got a call on the way to Prague Power that they're like, "Hey, we're closing tomorrow at noon. You got to come back by tomorrow at noon." Like as we're driving to Prague Power, I'm like, "Well, we're partway there. We might as well just go see at least a couple bands, and then we'll drive back through the night." And so, like on the way, Dan, my husband Dan's like texting people, being like, "Who wants to just go to Prague Power? We'll let you go for free." Because like
Wow.
we had like a day 4 ticket, and we were like, we got to go get our dog from boarding and go board up the house and whatnot because Irma is about to hit us.
Yeah, that whole thing.
Mm-hmm. So I was very sad we missed day 4 that year, but alas, it happened. So yeah, definitely for Prague Power is always good. You'll always have someone that like last minute can't go and it's just like either take my ticket for free or at least dirt cheap. So
true, very true.
I'll be there all 4 days if you guys want to hang it all. So
I'm gonna try and swing through for Cynic because I want to see Cynic, but we're gonna Thursday we got to be on the road. It's
We're
like
gonna be on tour.
Yeah.
What a problem.
Yep.
It's like I want to hang out at Prague Power, but I've got to go play music elsewhere.
Yeah.
They didn't ask us to play at Prague Power yet. So.
I know. I tried. I messed because like I have a gold badge, so I'm like I literally like it was emailing like Glenn and like Belton. I'm like, please book.
I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful, especially as someone who is Atlanta born and raised. It would be a very nice bucket list item to play one of the big festivals in my hometown. So.
Yeah, for sure.
And like Glenn did reach out to us after the album came out and like congratulated us on it. So like that felt really nice, honestly. Like it was very nice of him to be like, hey, like, congratulations on this release. It's really good. It's like, yeah.
Like, if Glenn says it's good, it's like that's a especially the fact he reached out. Like it's not like you asked him, hey, can you check this out? Like he like just on his own reached out, which Glenn's a really good guy though. He's every time interaction I've had with him, he's been real good. Back to all of our questions here. So tell me something that about either like you all or the band or both in general that just might surprise people.
This is maybe one that I don't know that I have.
I wasn't good at this one. Yeah, I was stumped. Both Trapper and I did fraternity in college.
Yeah, we're both in a fraternity.
We're both in the same fraternity, which is part of the reason how we got to know each other.
Nice.
It's not a frat, it's a music fraternity, so it's a bunch of nerds and it doesn't count.
Yeah, his roommates at the time were friends of mine from when I was in college, and like when I moved up here and I was like, I need a keyboard player. His roommate Goose was like, my roommate plays keyboard and wants to be in a metal band, and I was like, okay, Buck.
We're in.
And here we are.
Nice.
I guess I would, if I hadn't said spinning fire was one of my like side activities, that's something that people would find surprising. I feel like just like it's not something that people see every day.
For sure.
It's real normal to me because I do it with friends a lot. I'm just like, oh, there's somebody spinning fire over there. I've seen them do that like 8 million times. What's up? But like to people that aren't used to it, it's like mind blowing every time. So it's
I know that feeling. As you know, I have like an army of like reptiles and tarantulas. So to me, it's like I go hang out with people a lot of times that have all those, and it's just like, of course we have 40 tarantulas and snakes and stuff. But then you talk to like people in the street and they're like, oh, how many like pets do you have? I'm like, oh no, this isn't
right.
36. Last year it was 37.
Yes.
Oh, don't worry, we'll get you 2 more.
Do you have a snake farm?
Yes.
No.
With metal people, I feel like it's less weird because then I can be like, yeah, but Kerry King owns Psychotic Exotics and he comes to like the reptile shows too. So
yeah, right. I mean, most metal people I feel like are like, oh, cool, snakes. Like,
yeah,
right.
We're generally like, as a group of people, more open to just like strange things. That I feel like some people prove me wrong on that sometimes, but yeah, that's their problem.
Yeah, I think the vast majority are like that though, where it's like my husband always said, we're people that have oddly specific interests and get really into those oddly specific interests.
Yes, that's true.
That's
Very
called ADHD. That's hyperfixation. As
Yes.
someone who has ADHD, I speak
Are
from
there
experience.
are there any metalheads that are like neurotypical? I don't know.
No, doubtful, highly doubtful. And if they are, they don't make good music.
Yeah.
Um,
They're the
this
casual
was,
fans that listen to a couple things and that's that. They don't go on 70K or anything like
I
that.
know the
Right.
moment I name drop a band for being the neurotypical band, I'm going to get an insane amount of backlash. So I'm going to be quiet, smart and be quiet.
Tell me later.
Right. Tell me after the cameras are off. The only thing I could think of that is something that people might not people might find surprising about me is that I'm pretty straight-laced. Now, some people might not find that surprising at all. But I'm asthmatic, so I can't do a lot of weed. And I have a long history of addiction in my family, so I don't do a lot of alcohol. But I was a bartender for years, so I know how to make them more than I drink them.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. It's just I don't drink a lot. I hardly ever smoke, and so I'm if nothing else, I feel like it sets me a bit apart from a lot of the metal communities. I don't have a lot of ingestibles, so
I understand that. I'm kind of the same way where I'm not asthmatic, but I hate the feeling of smoke in my throat. So, and I almost never drink. So
Yeah,
I save a
well,
lot
there's
of money
no
on 70K compared to a lot of the
yeah.
folks that have
you
contests to
do.
see.
There's no to be clear. There's no aversion. There's no hate or judgment on those who
Mhm.
do. I'm just like, but it's definitely funny because it's I will be sitting in band practice and I will be like, it's just me. It's like, interesting. Not much more than that, but it's just funny.
Indeed.
All
Oh,
right.
something about the
Yes.
band. I did write this down because I thought it would be funny. Uh, uh, Many of us, all four of us, are some degree of also being a power metal nerd, which I would like to argue is like very far away from prog. I'd like to think that they're oppositional by
Not
how they're.
really. They're so close to each other. They're like
As we
But
have a festival called Prague
I
Power.
know, but like they're set up to be very different. Where like prog metal is long and technical, and power metal is cheesy and easy. But it maybe it's not surprising because Trapper has a blind guardian tattoo. But all four of us are big power metal nerds as well.
yeah, true.
I can definitely see the argument that for how like they're very different, but I feel like that the fan bases a lot of
They've
them tend to
gone
come
very close
together
to
really
each other.
well.
Yep.
Power and doom are a better oppositional context.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So.
I would say like Doom is like how long can we take this thing and make it just drag out forever? And power metal is just like, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
or tech death. Like power and tech death are very oppositional.
Mm.
well, so that's not necessarily true because there's some tech death that has like power metal elements. It's really like
I did not mean for this to become a tangent.
okay.
It's an excellent tangent though.
Let's reel this one in.
we got the whole actually finger.
I always this is something that's funny that comes up a lot though is like I'll see people get like really upset when people like try to say something like let's say is not metal, but I feel like if you're saying it not in a way where like well that's not metal, like I can't listen to that like in a rude way, but if like in a way that like oh that wouldn't be metal, that would be classified as this. I think a lot of metalheads are total genre nerds and some of them take it too far and get like really nasty about it.
Oh, for
But
sure, yeah.
I think a lot of them like us like you're like but actually you could consider that this or just kind of
it's not like oh this is this type and this is this type. It's like no, these are just like different ways that we describe the sounds that people make with instruments. Like
yeah.
that's like that's all genres really are is descriptors, and they're not like oh the box, and it's like only if you let it be
guidelines. They're like guidelines.
Freedom is a state of mind.
All right, so let me ask you guys this then. So after this tour, what is next on the agenda for you guys?
I have this idea. Ooh, I have this idea. Ooh, probably for like 4 months straight. It's going to be a lot. I can feel You know the sound of dogs scratching at the door because
Too well.
because like they know that like you're about to take them on a walk. Yeah, that's Trapper and Jade right now. So I promise you, it's gonna be like we're done with the tour. We're gonna make the next album.
Yeah,
So
it's gonna very
it's gonna
much
be a
be
lot of
like,
fun writing.
yeah, it's gonna be like, all right, tour's done, writing mode, let's go.
Pick up my
That's
quill. Yeah.
pretty much pretty much the plan. Like we have one more show that's unannounced. That's Jade's gonna be for Jade's birthday later in the year.
Ooh, you don't know when Jade's birthday is.
I do not.
But like that, there's that, and then other than that, like there's nothing on the docket for live, and like I know I would very much like to get the next thing as ready as we can, as quickly as we can, and I know Jade feels that way, and I know Michael feels that way. So like I want to get on writing the next record.
I want to write too, just to be clear. I'm very excited to write. I don't have all as much time as the others to write, but I'm excited that it will come together at a decent speed. It's
Mhm.
going to be a
Yeah.
good time. No one's going to be intentionally slowing down the process. And
That's all.
we've played a lot of live music since March.
Yeah,
So
we
it
have.
would not be surprising for a lot of us to be more comfortable in the writer's room for a little
Yep.
bit.
Mhm.
Yep. It is a little bit like lower pressure because there's always so much like, okay, well, we've got that idea. Well, we also have this idea. Well, like, all right, which way are we going to go? And then like, well, what if we use both ideas in these different ways? Like we it we have a very good writing chemistry, especially right now. And like I'm really excited about the material we already have written, and I'm very excited about the material that we're currently writing because we've got a couple of different songs currently in the band motor, as it were.
Mhm.
Um, like Bodie's been working on one that we sat down with as a group recently.
Oh
Um,
man, my little pet project. Yeah, if it comes to fruition in the way that I think it will.
it's
I'm
gonna be fucking epic.
it's not it's obviously not just mine, but I have a very high investment in one song in particular.
Mhm.
And as it comes to light, um, I'm gonna be a very proud music dad, watching my little child go out into the world because I have ideas and they've funneled mostly into one song. So I'm excited. I'm very excited.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited for that one. I've got one, like I said, I've got one I've been working on, and Jade's got one he's been working on. We're gonna probably work on it some after this because he actually swang through like 10 minutes before the interview started. So
Oh,
Nice.
so, but yeah, the that after the tour we got one more show, and then we're trying to do some do some writing, get some writing done. Um, I would like to I would like to do some more shows next year if we can get as much of the writing done as possible. Like if we can get the writing where it needs to be, I'd be happy to like I wouldn't sometime next year I wouldn't mind doing another tour so long as it fits within the schedule of like making the album happen is like kind of where I'm at. But like there's no concrete anything with that so far. So
Got it. I say if you guys do a tour with Toma Room, then you can just make Michael do double duty all night, right?
well,
oof.
we've been joking about that for a long time. We could make Michael do.
There's always been a little bit of pain in his eyes, and he's whenever he starts laughing about that, just a bit.
Fill up those really good bass calluses, right?
Oh yeah,
Michael's an excellent bassist though.
Mhm.
He's
Oh yeah. So I just
he
got to see
like
them.
yeah.
Like,
He said when he met y'all, he was like, "Oh, I just met your friends, lovely folks." I was like, "Yeah."
yeah.
Um, they're I'm really proud of the Tome Room Boys, and I'm really proud of Michael for becoming a part of the Tome Room Boys. Also, like
yeah,
it's he and I have been playing music together since we were like 19.
oh wow.
So
Yeah,
so like it's cool that somebody I've been playing music with that I still play music with is in a band that's making those kinds of strides, and
Mhm.
like I don't know, it's good stuff.
Mhm.
It's I'm proud of the Tome Room dudes. I'm proud of proud of what we've managed to accomplish. It.
Yeah.
Yeesh. Yeah.
We've managed to do a pretty good amount, especially considering that we don't have like a label or anything behind us. Because like, man, there's something to be said for when a band gets on a label and then there's like fucking 8 articles about this band joining this label, and then the band puts out their first single and there's like 8 articles about the band putting out their first single. Like there's so much of the industry that is very like, oh, the labels get the space in the promotional material. Doing promo, oh boy. But also like, I don't know, it still worked pretty well overall. So I don't know. Thank you for helping with that, by the way.
Absolutely.
It's been lovely getting to talk to you. Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there anything else you guys want to add before we finish up?
Nothing I can think of offhand, but you got anything?
I've said plenty. I'm just, it's fun to chat.
Indeed.
Absolutely. We'll end this with a good ooh.
Ooh.